Good afternoon and welcome everybody as you join us here for live coverage of the Riverside Grand Prix Sprint. 10 laps with Jochen Rindt on the pole position, with Graham Hill in second, Jack Brabham third, Dan Gurney in fourth, and the defending world champion Jim Clark in fifth. There's 21 drivers with the likes of Ferrari, Honda, all-American racers, and a few independents looking to make their mark on the race today as we take you down now to the start procedure at trackside. The revs are up. The starter has got the green flag up in the air. And it's trucks away. Poor start from Jochen Rindt in the number 9 car with Jack Brabham in third, but the race leader is Graham Hill as they go through the first left-hander. Graham Hill in the BRM manages to keep the lead with a Honda looking to make a move there, and one of the Ferraris in the background. It's Graham Hill ahead of Jochen Rindt with Jack Brabham. There's Black Jack in the third position with what looks like Dan Gurney behind him. And there's a car going off in the background over onto the sand, round the left-hander and then down into the second gear, tight right-hander before a little blip on the throttle and then a short, sharp shoot all the way down to the next right-hander. It's Graham Hill's got a decent lead out. There's Trevor Taylor in the number 17 car. Trevor Taylor with a decent lead out, and there's Mike Parks in the Ferrari with John Surtees and Lorenzo Bentini in the second Ferrari behind him, with the 1961 world champion Phil Hill, and there's Denny Hulme and Jackie Stewart in the BRM with Peter Davis, the privateer, getting very sideways out of there, and that's going to give Scarparotti the chance to draw up alongside him and go past in the third Ferrari. There's 3 Ferraris in the field today, so it's not as if they want too much attention on themselves, with Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon right behind them and Richie Ginther. And John Taylor's down in 20th with Ronnie Buckman in 21st after making a very poor start. I suspect that it was Buckman who went off on the first couple of corners that we saw in the background. But across the line for the first time, it's Graham Hill in the number 3 BRM. Beautiful shots we're getting here from the trackside. You can see the Californian hills in the distance. The one clear thing to remember about this layout as they go thundering through there at 100 odd miles an hour is that it's very, very dusty around here, and cars do get sideways. Look at that from Graham Hill. My goodness me, he almost lost the back end of the car there. Somehow managed to keep control of the BRM. And there's Dan Gurney in 4th place with Jim Clark, the defending world champion, in 5th place, and Mike Parks in the Ferrari. He's got a real battle on his hands now, trying to keep the number 10 car behind him. And all the other drivers, you can see them there kicking up the dust, cars swirling around, and there's Jim Clark. He's an absolute master of this circuit and these cars, is Jimmy Clark. Fantastic driver to watch. As we look at Graham Hill now, he's got a very decent lead out ahead of, I think that's still Rodriguez is out in front there. That's Rodriguez still in 2nd place with Jack Brabham. Brabham looking to make a move into the dogleg section, can't get through there. They're coming round into the final long right-hander, surrounded by concrete on the outside wall, and Jack Brabham's gone through on the inside of Jochen Rindt there. So Jack Brabham's up into 2nd place with Dan Gurney. It's behind him. Gurney's going to be looking to see if he can make a move, but he's nothing to do it there. Little puff of smoke from the back of the Jim Clark Lotus there. I'm not sure what happened there. Hopefully he didn't have too much of an issue with Trevor Taylor right behind him in 6th place. We're watching Jim Clark now. There's Jack Brabham. Brabham as the cars are swirling all over the place, trying to make a decent move there. Brabham, and there's a car that's getting very sideways in the background there. I'm not quite sure who that was. It's going to be interesting to see if Brabham can, now that he's got clear into 2nd place, is he going to be able to try and find a gap? There's Peter Davis in the Shamco, privately entered Lotus car. Very nice driving lines you can see through there as he comes through into the right-hander. He takes a very early line into that turn, you must say, in the number 23 cars. Quite beautiful to watch him feathering the throttle there. He's actually quite a good driver. You can see the cars sparking under braking as they go around into the right-hander, but once again he loses a lot of time through there. And Scarparotti once more has got the run on him. Davis just moves a little bit to try and block Scarparotti, but there's nothing doing there. He can't do anything about it. And Scarparotti in that Ferrari is just going to power straight ahead of the privately entered car, and he's through. And he's not going to come under any real attack, I shouldn't think. But here comes Davis. He draws up alongside him. And I think Davis has just repassed him. And there's a car slowing there. That's Mike Parks in the Ferrari. He's lost a lot of spaces there. I'm not sure what happened to him. TV cameras didn't quite pick it up, but he's lost about 3 or 4 places there. gets very close to the wall again, and we're watching Peter Davis in 14th position with Scarparotti right behind him still. Not quite sure why the Americans are focusing so much on him, as we see Denny Holm. Denny Holm is obviously trying to very much close the gap to Bandini. And there's a car spinning in the background. That's Holm. He's lost it. He's managed to get the car into reverse. He's onto the grass, onto the sand, and he almost blocks Ginther in the Honda. But Denny Holm, he's dropped right the way back. We did say earlier that this circuit is very, very dusty. And obviously it was. And there's a car on fire there. My goodness me, that's a car on fire. Who is that? It's Jack Brabham. Brabham's car is let go in one of the biggest ways possible. And there's Mike Parks still battling with Jackie Stewart and Bob Durant. There's a bit of a gap to the drivers in front with Phil Hill and Jochen Rindt and Dan Gurney's up into 5th position now. With John Surtees in the lead Honda in 4th. And Trevor Taylor, my goodness me, Trevor Taylor in the Lotus, he's performing extraordinarily well. He's up into 3rd place now in the number 17 car. It's a very beautiful sky blue sort of livery that they've got on that car for this Grand Prix Sprint. And he's balancing the throttle very nicely indeed. As we watch John Surtees. Sorry, John Surtees isn't in the Honda this weekend. I do apologise. He was supposed to be in the Honda, but he actually turned the drive down. As we watch Mike Parks and Peter Davis, look at that, there. And there's Scarparotti still in the battle with Davis over 13th place. My goodness me, they may not be challenging for the win, but it's a battle nonetheless, as we see Jackie Stewart getting very sideways there, very sideways. With Bob Durant, he's trying to keep control of his car, but really we'd like to see what's going on up the front, because we understand that Graham Hill has lost a lot of time. And Jack Brabham is out of the race as well, but we see that Jim Clark could very well be challenging. There's a big train of cars as they go round into the hairpin there. Bondurant is trying to close up the gap on Lorenzo Bandini. There's Bandini in the Ferrari with Phil Hill in 7th position. And Jochen Rindt performing very well, the Austrian driver, with Dan Gurney still absolute. And something's happened there. Trevor Taylor, my goodness me. There's a calamity has gone on there, and Jim Clark has hit somebody. And Trevor Taylor's lost a lot of time with Lorenzo Bandini going through there as well. And there's another car challenging. That's Davis. Davis is up into 7th position now, but I fear he is definitely going to have to give those positions back, because he's lost. I think he overtook under the yellow flag. And it's Mike Parks and Bob Bondurant who are both out. And there's Ronnie Buckman with Graham Hill. And it's Graham Hill, the race leader. My goodness me. So that means that John Surtees has taken over the lead with Dan Gurney in 2nd. Phil Hill, and there's Lorenzo Bandini in 4th place, with Jim Clark still in 5th with Phil Hill. Not Graham, Phil Hill. And Peter Davis is up into 7th position now. Round the long right-hander, into the short right-hand kinks, and the left little blips of throttle there. It's very difficult to balance the car very nicely, because Peter Davis is certainly going to be trying to do that now. And he's absolutely flat chat. You can see on the telemetry there, he's not even lifting off for the corners. Trying to chase down I think that's Dan Gurney, who's slightly ahead of him in 6th position. And Jackie Stewart is absolutely on it. The young Scotsman in the BRM, the number 4 car. He's absolutely pushing it as much as he possibly can to try and find a gap through there. But there's nothing to get through there. And Davis yet again has run wide, and he's been round these corners, that particular corner, so many times, but he still hasn't got the knack of it. He's losing a lot of time through there. Drivers, everybody else seems to be a lot faster, but then he seems to gain time down the long back straightaway into the dogleg section. Let's see, is Davis going to get through there? He does. He's through. He's back past Jackie Stewart. And Jim Clark's challenging Bandini's Ferrari. Clark is absolutely driving beautifully the wheels of that Lotus, and he's desperately trying to close up on that Ferrari, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it there, with Dan Gurney still pushing up ahead. There's Jochen Rindt in 3rd place. The Austrian doing very well. There's Dan Gurney in 2nd, absolutely trying to close up the gap on John Surtees ahead. And he's balancing. You can see the steering wheel, the input, and my goodness me, he almost lost it there. Dan Gurney. He's gone past. He's through. He's only got 2 more corners now before the right-hander hairpin. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Doesn't really take too much curb. There, and there's Bandini, with Jim Clark missing a little bit of the apex there as he's pushing the Lotus to try and get ahead of that Ferrari. I'm not sure if Clark's going to try and make a move here. He looks for the inside, but I think that Bandini's got that covered. Beautiful defensive driving from Lorenzo Bandini there to cover off the defending world champion Jim Clark, and he's certainly lost a little bit of track space there because Phil Hill is certainly going to be trying to make a pass with Peter Davis lurking in the background now, and Hill's going to try and pass Jim Clark if he can. Clark takes a slightly defensive line. There's another car on fire in the background at the start of that very long straight, and you can see John Surtees is through the long right-hand turn with Jochen Rindt going through beautifully, and Lorenzo Bandini as Clark is still under attack from Phil Hill. Hill's still unable to get past the defending world champion, with Davis closing the gap now. This is going to be quite extraordinary to see if the privately entered Englishman is going to be able to close the gap. Look at these shots. It's absolutely beautiful to watch them thundering through there at over 150 miles an hour in these 1.5 litre Formula One cars. Jim Clark balancing the car absolutely beautifully. He rides a little bit of curb there that's going to have to unsettle the car. Look at this. Clark got totally sideways, and my goodness, he's managed to keep control of the car. Well, I guess he's not the world champion for nothing, but my goodness me, how on earth he managed to keep the car going on the circuit without losing it and going off into the sands, or even worse, into the barriers, was quite extraordinary. That was fantastic driving from Jim Clark there. And still fighting the car, and you can see that Davis is closing the gap up on Phil Hill, and Clark has lost a lot of time now to Bandini's Ferrari. And we're understanding that John Surtees has lost a little bit of time there. There's a car off in the background. I think that was Davis. Momentarily got trapped on the gutter that runs alongside the long straightaway there, heading into the dogleg section, kicked over one of the cones, and there's a car gone off in the distance. A car's certainly hit the wall. I'm not sure what's happened there. My goodness me, it's Dan Gurney's gone off, and one of the cars is overtaken on the outside. I think that might have been Davis in the 23 car, but Dan Gurney, something's happened to the American, and he is out of his home Grand Prix Sprint. Phenomenal performance, but Davis is now up into 4th place. And he's obviously overtaken Jim Clark and whoever else it was. I think it was Phil Hill. He's overtaken them under the yellow flags, and that means he's going to have one lap to give the position back. Davis is chasing Bandini, but obviously it's going to be in vain because he's got to let these two pass him once more, and I think he's going to be wanting to try and do it before they get onto the straightaway at the back, because it's certainly going to give him the opportunity to get into the slipstream and see if he can close up on them and then maybe attack them at the dogleg section or into the final turn. Davis pulls over to the right-hand side. He's going to let Clark and Hill through, and he does. Sparks flying up from the underside of his car. My goodness me. He was really applying the brakes there with quite some force there. But he's lost a lot of time. Again, out of that little complex. He's obviously very much struggling there. And that's one of the Hondas behind him struggling to get past. I think he's going to get through. And he's through. There's cars off in the distance, and that's Jim Clark. Clark's off. Something has happened to him. Not sure what's happened. He may very well have had some sort of a technical failure. The Lotus is a very fast car, but it's obviously very fragile as well. With John Surtees now out into the lead on lap 9. Driving absolutely beautifully. The world bike champion, with Peter Davis now enjoying a very good battle. That's Bruce McLaren. I do apologise. It's Bruce McLaren. McLaren's trying to get through there, and he got very sideways, and he got very much a tank slapper there. Managed to keep the car pointing in the right direction, and that's Jochen Rindt pulled over. My goodness, Jochen Rindt, the Austrians, pulled over from 3rd position. Chris Hayman's up into 6th place in the 26 car, and McLaren's lost a lot of time to Davis in 4th position. And Davis is absolutely on it now. He's going to be really trying to close up to Phil Hill in front of him, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can do anything about it. Under heavy braking now, and this is the final lap. Davis is going to try and take a better line through there. Let's see if he can manage it, and once again he loses the rear end of the car, and that's certainly going to give Bruce McLaren the chance to close up, with Phil Hill in 3rd and Bandini in 2nd. But here's the race leader, John Surtees. John Surtees is coming through the final turn now for the final time. And John Surtees balancing the throttle beautifully. And he's got smoke coming out of the back of the car. Is it going to be enough to keep him going to come across the line? His car's absolutely shattered. Look at the engine, it's gone. But John Surtees is across the line, and he takes the race victory. Fantastic result for the Englishman, with Lorenzo Bandini, the Italian, in the Ferrari. In the number 7 Ferrari takes 2nd place, with Phil Hill a fine 3rd, and Davis and McLaren. A fantastic battle for 4th place, with Davis prevailing, going over off the racetrack, and Bruce McLaren takes the 5th place, with Chris Hayman in 6th, What a phenomenal Grand Prix Sprint race this was. Thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you next time.